Hello and welcome to This Racing Life, where, as you can see from the beautiful heath behind me, we have come to Newmarket ahead of the annual Newmarket Open weekend. Some of the biggest names in racing flock here over 2 days to showcase just what this brilliant town has to offer. Here's what's coming up in the show.
I think it's been done very well, so that it causes minimum fuss to the horses and maximum viewability for the people here.
Well, I think it's a chance for not just racing people, but people in general, just to the local people just come around and see what goes on behind the scenes.
I think it's great that the public can get behind the scenes and see the horses in their stables and their natural environment, because obviously the majority only get to see them on the racecourse, in the paddock and on the track itself. So I think it's a very positive thing.
They get to interact, one with the staff and two with horses that they probably know the names of, and if they don't get a chance to go racing, they can probably see them firsthand and have a good look at them.
I think we were one of the first ones who started the thing. We were doing it on our own, and then gradually became more of an event for everybody and for the whole of Newmarket to participate in.
Game on, you're in it next year, and there's no way this is being edited out.
Hundreds came to Warren Hill to see some of these stars of racing make their way up the Newmarket gallops, and I spoke to Sir Mark Prescott, one of the legends of this town.
It looks a very good turnout. It looks more than last year, just looking at everybody, and in the fog I think they've done very well to get here in this time.
It's a shame for the fog, but we've got a good turnout today. How much of is it for your horses out of their normal routine, or it's not any great shakes to send three up the gallops?
It's not too difficult, and mine came off to the right, so they walked back down out of the way. I think it's been done very well, so that it causes minimum fuss to the horses and maximum viewability for the people here.
And it's a good chance for people of the town, be they racing fans or not, to experience a little bit what goes on here on the heath.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of Newmarket people as well out, and it must be good for everybody, isn't it? I can't see there's a downside to it.
Just tell us about your three that came up.
Well, we had Fly Me to the Stars, who was a bit disappointing in France. He was fourth in a Group 2, but has done wonderfully well otherwise. He was second in the Northumberland Plate and second in the Ebor. I think somebody worked out a length cost 400,000, I think.
Well, you couldn't have everything that meeting, because the day before you'd won the Nunthorpe, so there you are. And Marsha was here.
And she went up as well. And also Saint Michel, who goes to the Melbourne Cup.
As far as your place in the town goes, Sir Mark, you've been here for such a long time, and you've seen a fair few open days. Has it changed over the years?
I think it has. I think it's got better every year. Mrs. Cumani, the Machiavellian Mrs. Cumani, prevails on us all to do more and more every year, and I think it's got better and better.
Just touch on your season, if you can, and sum it up. I mean, have you been surprised by what you've achieved, particularly with the star sprinter that is Marsha?
I think obviously, when you wind up with the officially the top sprinter in the world, you're very lucky, aren't you? And she's won her Group 1, so she's been very good. We've been a bit unlucky in some of the big races, but the prize money's good, and for a 50-horse stable, we've probably had about as many winners as you can do. You sort of, by this stage of the season, to a degree, you've almost run out of horses that can win races, and it's more the backward horses and backward 2-year-olds and things from now on.
He's enjoyed a fine season with stable star the Tin Man, amongst others, and I went to see James Fanshawe at Pegasus Stables, always throwing their doors open at the Newmarket Open weekend. You prepare for this, don't you? Tea, coffee and cakes for everyone, and lots of horses to look at.
Yeah. I think the most important thing, especially on a morning like this morning, is give the customers some refreshment, and so they get a sort of good impression of the yard before they even start.
And walking around with you, people are here to see the horses. They're here to see you as well as a Newmarket trainer that they know, and it's a well-received event and a well-attended one as well.
Well, I think the longer the open days have gone on, the people sort of get to know their way around. I think there's people who've been here sort of 2 or 3 times and come back again, which is great. And there's also quite a few members from Elite who love coming around as well, from Elite Racing. So there's a big mix of people coming around, and I think that it's such a beautiful yard. I'm not just saying that in a biased way, but it is. And it's a real sort of example of an old Victorian racing yard, and it has a great feel to it.
How important to you is the open day in the calendar, the chance for members of the public, members of some of the syndicates as well, to come in and see the horses and to have the yard opened up?
Well, I think it's a chance for, not just racing people, but people in general, just to, the local people, just come around and see what goes on behind the scenes. A lot of people sort of say to me, "Oh, I never realised what went on behind, goes on in a racing yard." So it gives them a chance, and it also gives you a chance for someone who might like to have a horse in training with you to have a look around and see if they like the place, the feel of it, and maybe one day they'll come and have a horse with you.
And you've had great success with the Fred Archer syndicate, of course, with the Tin Man flying the flag. How important in some ways has that been to you, and with regard to that syndicate as well, the success that the Tin Man's had?
Well, the Tin Man's been fantastic for the yard, full stop, because every yard needs a flag bearer, and he's our current flag bearer. He's done really well. He's won 2 Group 1s. So he's creates an interest whenever he runs, and it's great that people can actually kind of look at him now. From a syndicate point of view, it's the way ahead. The days of actually people owning their horses on their own. The people, you don't have so many people who have the sole ownership of one horse, but the syndicates give you a chance to have maybe 1 or 2 shares in different horses, and for less money.
And I suppose it's great for the guests and the people coming in to have a name like him to go up and have a picture taken next to the horse. Unsurprisingly, he's been one of the most popular members of the stables that they can come and have their picture with.
Yeah, it's not always just him as well, because there's some other old friends here as well, and he's obviously the main horse, but there's some other nice horses like Higher Power, and there's the elite horses, and then some owners come to support the event and come and have a look at their horse as well.
Just on the Tin Man, he likely heads back to Ascot to defend his crown in the Champion Sprint, does he?
Yeah, well, he's come out of the Haydock Sprint in good form, and he seems really well. And this time of year, you hope you can keep them in good form until Ascot, because his record there is very strong, and I hope we have him as good a form as he was last year.
What is it about the Ascot 6, that stiff finish, that big wide straight? He just seems to love it.
Well, as a track, it's been really good to us, and he loves it there. And I think it's just the way that races are run, and it seems to suit him.
Just, if you can, looking back at your season as a whole, of course the Tin Man's been the flag bearer, but as a whole, you look back with pride on what you've achieved so far this season.
Well, the big guns have done well, but we know we've been a bit sticky with the less talented horse. We have too many seconds, but I think the Tin Man, he's Tin Man, Higher Power, Fleur Forsyth, they've all done very well for us, and there's a bit of time left.
One star attraction on Sunday morning was Big Orange. Hundreds flocked to see him, and Rebecca Adams caught up with his trainer, Michael Bell.
He's had a great year. Obviously the highlight was the Ascot Gold Cup, and that was a real feather in his cap, and he's obviously had another couple of one at Sandown and run well in defeat at Goodwood and Meydan. So he's had a fantastic year, and hopefully more to come.
He's got another couple of runs this season, culminating with Champions Day at Ascot.
Yeah, and then we're hoping to take in the Prix de Cadran on Art Weekend if possible. He worked very well this morning, and very happy with his well-being, and if Paris goes according to plan, he'll show up at Ascot for the Long Distance Cup.
And it's great for members of the public to be able to come here and see your stable star. How important is this Newmarket Open weekend for racing?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's great that the public can get behind the scenes and see the horses in their stables in their natural environment, because obviously the majority only get to see them on the racecourse, in the paddock and on the track itself. So I think it's a very positive thing.
And racing is unique in that sense. It's probably the only kind of sport where you can get such incredible access.
I think it probably is. I mean, you know better than me, but I'd say there's very few sports you get right behind the scenes, and obviously ours is a different dynamic with animals involved, and they are a huge part, and it's great that the public get to get up close and personal.
So the yard's been busy for you this morning, lots of visitors coming in and out, but the day gets even busier for you this afternoon when you're commentating on the show jumping.
Yeah, I did it last year, and it was full of thrills and spills, and probably the same again. But no, I enjoy doing it, and hopefully can get a few chuckles here and there.
And potentially a second career.
I don't think so. My brother and nephew have cornered that market, and I'm definitely not going to tread on their toes.
Another consistent supporter of the Open Weekend is David Simcock, who was also looking forward to his wife Jenny competing in the show jumping.
It gives them a chance to see behind the scenes. They get to interact, one with the staff and two with horses that they probably know the names of, and if they don't get a chance to go racing, they can probably see them firsthand and have a good look at them.
I suppose we're lucky in some ways, we get to come in here relatively often. You work in and around the horses, but it's nice for people to see behind the scenes, see how the horses are looked after and see what goes on.
Yeah, and talk to the staff and know, get to know their characteristics. And they're all different and they all have different characters. Some you wouldn't go near because they're going to bite you, and some they can pat and really love the attention. Just to get to see where they are in the yard, and some horses have different boxes for a reason. Some like their own company, some like to nuzzle others, and yeah, it's just nice for everybody to get to see this sort of thing.
We went down to see Lightning Spear. Actually, he must be one of the nicest natured horses you have in the yard. I mean, you could put anyone in the box with him and he wouldn't bat an eyelid, it seems.
Yeah, he's a very kind horse. He's very straightforward. My son will often go in the box with him. And no, he's just got a very, very good nature and likes attention.
What about his season, Lightning Spear? How important was Goodwood?
Goodwood was great because realistically and honestly, it was probably his one real opportunity to win a race this year. He was going to be solely campaigning Group 1s to try and win that elusive Group 1. So it was very important. He went to France last week, and scenarios just didn't happen. So he'll head to Ascot now, and he ran very well there last year. He was third, and we'll try and repeat last year's performance.
In some ways, has he bumped into a strong division of milers? I mean, in other years, might he have got his Group 1? Do you think?
I think Richester's very good and hard to beat. The hard one was the Sussex Stakes because we looked like winning, and he probably just emptied the last 75 yards, and your emotions go very high for probably all of 10 seconds, and then suddenly you realise he's not going to win. But they're not a bad bunch of milers. I don't think there's not an outstanding miler. If there was, it's probably Ribchester, and he's probably a couple of pounds short of being really, really, really good. But they're not a bad bunch.
You mentioned Champions Day. Is that where we're likely to see Sheikh Zayed Road towards the end of the season?
Yeah, very pleased with his third at Doncaster. We probably hit the front a little bit too soon, and then he stayed on really well all the way to the line. And York was definitely a good run as well. He likes Ascot. The track suits, bit of juice in the ground, and listen, I'm not going to say we'll win, but he'll turn up and he'll run very well.
And he must be one of those names that the people coming in through the doors at the open day like to come and see. He's been around for such a long time, and he's won races at the top level as well.
I think so. Those stayers, they're around for a long time. People get to know him, get to know them, and he's won £1 million. He's been around the world. He turns up on the big occasions, and it is nice for people to see him. And he's not the most handsome bugger in the world, but he's a real character, and certainly I hold a real affection for the horse.
One of the first horses the public see when they walk in is Breton Rock, and did he surprise you with what he achieved back at Goodwood? I mean, he's carried a penalty subsequently, but you'd rather have that than him not to have won at Goodwood, wouldn't you?
Like his owner says, if the penalties he's carrying at the moment is because he's won a Group 2, and that's a good thing. He struggles with the penalty. I don't think he's ever been placed with a penalty. But was it a surprise at Goodwood? Definitely. But it was the perfect scenario. They raced a long, long way out, and I don't think he went a lot quicker from the 2 to the winning line. I think the horses in front were slowing up, and he carried on the same pace, and that suited him. He also heads to Ascot, and we'll be trying to pick up the pieces there. And I really hope it does come up bottomless, and he needs that scenario, a scenario where something's inconveniencing others and is conveniencing him. He runs to a mark anywhere, for me, between 108 and 111, and he probably needs horses to underperform.
What about this season for you? People coming in through the doors and seeing a trainer in fine form as well as horses they know, and some good winners this season, including a Royal Ascot winner in the form of Bless Him. That must have been very satisfying.
Yeah, it was, especially for Sheikh Farhad. He's a very, he's a great supporter of the yard, and it was nice to find a winner at Royal Ascot. It's been a mixed season. We haven't had a lot of consistency. I haven't been overly happy with the horses all year, but partly to do that, there's plenty of average horses, unfortunately. But we've had some nice winners, some good group winners. Prize money's been the best we've ever had at this time, but we're a few winners short of probably where we should be. But all in all, it hasn't been a disaster, but I wouldn't call it spectacular.
And this is a great day today. Will you be off down to hurl some abuse at some footballers and some show jumpers later on?
Very much so. I won't be hurling any abuse at my wife doing the show jumping. She's competing later, and she's not bad at it actually. And then the footballers, it's a real motley crew. There's some very, very average players. Charlie Fellows is dreadful in goals, and Ollie Bell does a lot of talking. So, I just hope somebody absolutely punches him.
A family that have become synonymous with the two-day event are the Kumanis. Francesca competing in the show jumping for the first year. Sarah is the chairwoman of the two-day event, and husband Luca, one of the leading trainers in the town.
We've done it for many, many years. I think we were one of the first ones who started the thing. We were doing it on our own, and then gradually became more of an event for everybody and for the whole of Newmarket to participate in. I think it's a very good way of letting the public in, getting the public to see what goes on around behind the scenes, and seeing where the horses are kept and how well they're kept. And I think it's a good way of communicating very good messages to the public.
And in turn, it could see more and more people going racing at Newmarket as well. They get to know the horses behind closed doors, see, as you say, how they're looked after, and then see how they translate that to the track itself.
Absolutely, and you create a number of followers. There's a lot of people that come here to write down the name of the horses that they like the look of, and then they follow them, and then they probably go racing and watch them. And so it's all good. It's all positive.
And the publicity starts a way out as well. I remember Sarah back at the Craven meeting talking about when the Newmarket Open Day was going to be, and to be fair, she puts in a great deal of work around the Open.
Yeah, she's been chairwoman of the Newmarket Open Day for the last 3 years, and it is quite a bit of work, but it's very rewarding.
And your daughter Francesca will be competing in the show jumping as well a little bit later on. Are you looking forward to going and seeing that?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm participating in the trainer with his dog competition. So it'll be good fun.
This is your dog, is it, Luke?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. I'm sure you're looking forward to that. The whole day itself, the sun's just come out while we're talking actually, which is lovely. But you see people coming from Newmarket and from further afield as well, come rain or shine, just to have an opportunity to see the horses and also what the town has to offer.
Absolutely. And I was just talking to a party of people that come all the way from Cardiff, so that goes to show that it attracts a lot of interest. It's very popular, the Open Day, and it's good to have it.
Just on yourselves here and the horses you've got and some of the names that they'll look forward to coming in and seeing. Some of the fillies, the likes of God Given's had a brilliant season this season. You must be proud of what she's achieved.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, God Given has done nothing but improve all year, and the good news is that she stays in training next year, and we're looking forward to further improvement.
Are we likely to see her at Ascot potentially Champions Day?
No, I think she's finished for the year. She's done enough, and she had quite a hard race in the Vermeil last Sunday. So I think that'll be it for her this year, and we look forward to it next year.
Were you pleased with how Al Jazeera ran not too long ago at Doncaster?
Yes, that was great effort. She looked almost like winning with a furlong to go, and she was just outstayed in the last 50 yards by the winner. It was a magnificent effort on her part.
You've had some progressive handicappers this year as well. We're looking towards the Cambridgeshire, not too far away. Any likely to turn up in that potentially? Banksy a possibility?
Banksy is a possibility, but I wouldn't put it any stronger than that. I think I want to try him once. He's run too many times on straight courses. I want to try him around the round course now.
Looking back at the start of the season, it must have been great to get that win into him, and he still continued to progress. But I suppose it's hard when you keep going into these tough competitive handicaps.
It is, especially when you go up in the weight all the time. But then, as I said before, you can't be like Boris Johnson, i.e. you can't have your cake and eat it.
It would be great to get him down to the Open Day one day. You never know the reach that is the Newmarket Open Day. Are you pleased with the turnout and the people that you've had in through the doors today? It's a long day. You start up on the gallops, and then the crowds just keep coming in through the door.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I think the fact that there's no racing this weekend has probably harmed us a little bit, harmed the open day. In the past it's always been with racing on a Saturday and people having stayed on for the Sunday. And so without the attraction of racing, I think there's fewer people this year. But it's an enthusiastic crowd, and they all come and they all seem to be very happy, and they ask a lot of questions, and they are a knowledgeable crowd.
And that said, the amount of growth in the day itself since you started opening your doors, it's quite magnificent to see how many more people come than used to, and the different facilities and the different things on offer for the public compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, no, there's much more, and that's all done by the people that run the committee at the moment. My wife, they put a lot of effort into combining it with other activities such as the food festival and all the activities that we'll have this afternoon on the Severals.
In the afternoon, the action moved to the Severals, where there were plenty of sports on hand. One of those was horseball. 4 jockeys competed, one of whom was Pat Cosgrave, trying his hand at the sport for the first time.
You know, I never heard of it before yesterday, and I looked up with a little bit of few tips how to play it, but it was actually quite fun. It was something different, and it was quite enjoyable actually.
Had to get used to letting go of the reins.
Yeah, that actually wasn't. I think trying to pick up the ball was the hardest part, but I didn't try it in the end. Well, I did in the end, but that standstill, you have to be on the move.
Yeah, so why do you have to be on the move to pick it up? I couldn't quite work that out.
I don't know the rules, the ins and outs of it, but I say it was quite interesting and quite fun to take part in.
You nearly scored.
Yeah, I nearly scored. Well, I like the score. It something to talk about later on.
And it's quite nice that it's all about the retraining of racehorses as well, something that the horses do after their careers, if it's cut short for any reason, they can go on and still be active.
Yeah, it's amazing, a lot of horses, they're only racing for a short time, and it's amazing that these horses go on to do something else like this, which looks, and it looks like the horses are enjoying, this sort of type of game, so yeah, it's great that there's something to do after racing.
And show jumping next, you know how to win that. This is your game now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I was a bit lucky last year, but look, I've got the same horse again, different venue, we moved across town, but look, I say, he was pretty good last year. I was a bit of a passenger, I think.
And different conditions this year as well. It's not ideal, but there you go.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to stop raining at some stage, but look, I say it's been a fun day so far, and hopefully we can shoot on again.
The Clipper Logistics show jumping is one of the highlights of the weekend. 2 clear rounds this year from Roger Varian and winner Francesca Kumani. Francesca Kumani, many congratulations. You've won the show jumping with a clear round and in a really quick time.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, it was so much fun. Honestly, I was thrilled to be asked to be part of it. And then I went to the practice session on Monday at the museum, and I was very kindly lent a horse by James, our farrier. And he was quite a big kind of labouring horse, and I'm so unfit. I was like, I might have to do something about this. So luckily Alice Lukey Smith was there, and she said, here, have my pony. And I thought, is this cruelty to animals? I mean, this pony is tiny and 21 years old, but an absolute machine, as you saw.
21 years old?
21 years old. I know, her daughter rides it, and she's a little legend, and she got me around safely and fast. It was so much fun.
I think you should give yourself some credit there for. I mean, she is a little thing, Breeze. She looks half asleep at the end as well, to be fair. But I mean, maybe that helped because she seemed nice and relaxed.
I think we were both so relieved to get over the Joker. We both just had a massive kind of deep breath and regroup. But no, she rattled the first one, and I thought this will be interesting. But she honestly did all the work, because I've hardly ridden since I had a baby a year and a half ago. So I was blowing a bit at the end, but she did most of it.
You clearly know what you're doing, but genuinely going round with a few people here when you approach the Joker, which is quite big, are there any nerves? Just the odd flutter?
Well, I mean, we had a very supportive crowd on the whole. It was good to see so many people here, but when I came into the ring on Breeze, they all started laughing. Probably because I'm probably one of the tallest people riding today, and she's the smallest horse. But yeah, we got to the bottom of that Joker, and I thought, we're either going to end up in the bottom of it, or we might just heave our way over it. And thankfully we did. But,
and it's great for you to be a part of it, because obviously the family are really linked with this day. Your dad opens up the doors. Your mum does a great deal of the organising, so it must be lovely for you to take part.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's a great day, great weekend for Newmarket to showcase what it's all about. And there's been so much happening. Yesterday there was like a food festival in the Hyde Street, and buskers here, but I hear it went down really well. And then today, all the yards have been open there. We had some big name horses galloping on the Heath, Enable, Cracksman, Ulysses, and all their trainers out to have a word. And then actually went up to Tattersalls, and Hugo Palmer and Duncan Mora were doing a talk through about buying yearlings. And then what's happened? Yeah, we came here, the dog show, the horse ball, the show jumping. There's so much going on, and thankfully the weather's been kind-ish to us, but it's been a bit iffy at times.
If you won this, did Luca Kamani win anything to do with it? I saw him with a dog in his hand walking down the ring. Did he win his section of the dog?
No, he was usurped by Ed Dunlop and a very smart-looking Whippet with Charlie Fellows in third.
With regard to you coming back and defending your crown next year, it's a long way off, but you almost have to, don't you? Defend your crown in the show.
What do you think? Breeze, age 22. Do you think I can do it to her again?
I think she's getting better with age.
Do you think? Not sure I can say the same about myself.
One of the chief organisers of the event is Stephen Wallace, and here he reflects on what's been a brilliant 2 days.
The weather's been really unkind to us, but there's been so much good fun, and I'm looking now at James Doyle and jockeys like that helping clear up show jumps, and think, how often do the public get a chance to see their sporting heroes doing stuff slightly outside their comfort zone? Show jumping is not their natural thing. Mixing in with the public and just giving fans of our sport a day to remember. And we've, even despite the weather, we've delivered that. The 500 people who turned up on Warren Hill this morning to see Ulysses and Enable and other good horses, they can't have seen much, but they still turned up, and they've been here all day. The 1,000 people who've gone to Godolphin, the 400 people who've gone the other end of the town to Mike Bell. I know some people will have gone to both, but we've opened up Newmarket. Newmarket has been open. The public have come. We'll be honest, the numbers are down, but would you have got out of bed this morning if you didn't have to? And it's been a fun day.
Do you think there's also a slight link on slightly fewer people coming, perhaps because of the weather? Also, there was no racing this weekend, so perhaps that attracts slightly fewer people to the town as such. No racing in the town, but it's still been a great success.
That could be a factor. I mean, we don't know. We know that the bed and breakfasts and the hotels do well the night after racing in any case. That absolutely could be a factor. We'll review that when we plan for next year. But, we're really lucky. We've got some stalwarts like the Dunlops, like the Fanshaws, like the Varians, the Kumanis, and the Simcocks, who do stuff for us every year. And it's fantastic that they are prepared to give their time, their energy, and not just them, their staff. And I love it when I get feedback that the staff in yards really enjoy opening up, because they're proud of what they do. They're proud of being able to talk to the fans of the sport about how they look after their horse, how much they love their horse, and the public can see how these horses are so well cared for. There are so many positives about opening up Newmarket to the public for a weekend, and I look forward to next year already.
And you mentioned that pride in the horse. Also, from those names you mentioned, they're proud of the town as well, and that's what this does. Is that right? It really merges the two, the town and the horse and the horseman.
And more so this year. I haven't really given credit to Noel Byrne, who organised the food festival, which we've moved from the racecourse down to Palace Street to give a focus on the new museum. For a first year, the food festival in the town has worked really well, and one of our missions is to link racing with the town. And actually, I think here on the Severals for the show jumping and down Palace Street for the food festival is a really good way of linking the town and racing in a day for the public to enjoy.
Great turnout as well for the show jumping, which is probably the showpiece event, and it really is. The names that take part, it's exciting as well, because some of them really chuck the horses at these fences.
I think you've got to get in training. We want you in it next year, and you're not saying no now.
That could be a long way
off. In
off.
fact, we could even train you. We can send you to the racing school, British Racing School, for a few days just to get your riding up to scratch. Then we can get Maria Palace Clark to give you lessons down at the arena at the museum. In fact, game on, you're in it next year, and there's no way this is being edited out.
If I was on the horse that Frankie was on, there's a chance I might get around, but even so, I doubt it.
Go on, game for a laugh. Or it'd be brilliant. The fact is that it's serious in our attempts to raise funds for local charities, but if we can't have fun putting this day on, how can we expect the public to enjoy it? And hopefully we've all enjoyed doing it, and hopefully the public will come back in maybe better weather next year.
I'm sure it has been great fun and a great success. Thanks for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed the 2 days.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, I can't promise that I will be taking part in the show jumping next year, but I will be a spectator, and there will be plenty of bigger and better names taking part in the showpiece event of Newmarket Open Weekend next year. The last of the jumps is being removed behind me, which really signals the end of what's been a fantastic Newmarket Open Weekend, showcasing the very best of what this brilliant town has to offer. Stick it in the diary for next year, because I can't recommend it highly enough. An excellent weekend, and that is it for this week's This Racing Life. We'll see you again soon.